Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with some Total War Warhammer news. Norsca has been officially nerfed. Yes, indeed, we do have the hotfix patch notes here, hotfix for patch 8.1. So let's go ahead and take a look at the balancing changes. Of course, there's plenty of bug fixes and so on for campaign. Nothing really to make note of here except that Apocalyptic Charge is now going to work as intended, so that's good. So let's go ahead and have a look at the balancing changes. So increase attack interval for mammoths from 3 to 3.8. So what I'm interpreting this to say is that mammoths will attack less often, which I think is a fairly appropriate change. Increase cost of Marauder Hunters with Javelins by 100. Very appropriate change. The Marauder Hunters with Javelins are very good, and it was kind of weird that they were so far off from the Marauder Hunters with the throwing axes. So they've also had their ammunition decreased from 16 to 12, so that's a good change. Increase the cost of the Demon Spew by 100, that's probably warranted, and reducing the cost of the Mirror Guard by 100, that's again warranted. The Soul Devourer's interceptability has now been increased from 100 to 200, great. And then we get into the good stuff here. Reduce Werekin melee attack by 5 and melee defense by 5, as well as increasing the Werekin's cost by 100. So this is a very warranted change. The Werekin was a little bit good for what it did. It was a little bit cheap and a little bit too strong, in my opinion. So all these changes, while not super impactful, taken all together, will definitely make a difference. Increasing the cost of the Maws of Savagery, that's the Regiment of Renowned Skinwolves, by 200, that's again warranted. And increasing the cost of the regular Skinwolves as well as the Armored Skinwolves by 100 as well. Again, very good changes. The Skinwolves were very cost effective, a little too cost effective in my opinion, so now they're going to be about where they should be in my opinion. We've also got the Companions of Connell, that's the Regiment of Renown Questing Knights. They have been increased by 150, again, probably warranted change. They were very good for their cost previously. Let's see, decrease weapon damage and armor piercing of battle pilgrims. Regular weapon damage by 2 and armor piercing by 1. Not really sure about this one. It's not a very big change, but I don't know the battle pilgrims really were super OP before, so I'm not sure about that one, but interesting. Apocalyptic Charge now triggers once the enemy is within 70 meters for 2 seconds. Interesting. And yeah, some skill cap changes for Krell skills and France. Nothing really important there. Some more skill tree changes for the campaign, but that's not really our focus here, so very good stuff. All changes that are well warranted. So let's go ahead and take a look at some testing between myself and JonTaun that we did yesterday when these patch notes dropped. So we're going to get into this here, testing between the Empire and Norsca. Now the Empire definitely has the best tools overall for dealing with Norsca, and in this test we wanted to test a few things. Now with the increase in cost, the Maws of Savagery are 1450, which is only 50 off from Demigryph Knights with Halberds. So we decided to test them one-on-one, and we also decided to test Knights of the Blazing Sun against Armored Skinwolves. Since they're fairly close in cost, I think they're about both 1300 if I remember right. So they're equivocal cost. This one I expect the Knights of the Blazing Sun will win that fairly decisively because of their fire damage and their high charge bonus. This fight is going to be a little more interesting. The Demigryph Knights with Halberds, let's see, 34, 32, and 56, whereas these guys are 51, 38, and 63. So it looks like the Maws of Savagery will decisively win that fight. But let's go ahead and watch as these forces come together. We'll watch the health bars here. And let's see. So you can see the Maws of Savagery immediately doing quite a bit more damage on the charge and winning that fight fairly decisively. Meanwhile, the Knights of the Blazing Sun here are winning this fight fairly decisively. Definitely putting the Skinwolves down very fast. So you can see this is a good example of why I always bring Knights of the Blazing Sun against Norsca. And with the changes to the cost of the Skinwolves as well as the Werekin, I definitely would recommend bringing Knights of the Blazing Sun over Demigryph Knights with Halberds pretty much in any situation against Norsca. So you can see here the Demigryph Knights with Halberds decisively beaten by the Maws of Savagery, whereas the Knights of the Blazing Sun were able to defeat that unit of Armored Skinwolves. So not an exactly, one-on-one test, but still fairly informative for our purposes. Definitely shows how these guys are useful. And, you know, in the previous patch, they would have been my go-to anyway, but this kind of reaffirms that. So now we're going to fast forward just a bit. I'm going to let my guys heal up a little bit, and we are going to let the Maws of Savagery here, tattered as they are, face up against these Knights of the Blazing Sun just to see how they fare. And let's see. And yep, they're able to put down the Maws of Savagery fairly effectively. They did take quite a bit of damage there, but yep. And you can see now they're getting in on the Skin Wolf, and the Skin Wolf will take quite a bit of damage as well from the Knights of the Blazing Sun. Those flaming attacks make a huge difference, but tattered as they are able to be routed off, so very interesting. Let's go ahead and load up some more testing here. So, I mean, that was fairly well in line with what I would have expected from the previous patch, but now that the cost increase of, you know, now that the Skin Wolves have had their cost increased, they won't be able to be supported quite as much. So let's go ahead and take a look at another matchup. Now, the green skins previously used to struggle quite a bit with taking down Skin Wolves. So let's go ahead and check. Now, in this matchup, you probably wouldn't end up seeing this one-on-one, just because, you know, the big uns are quite a bit cheaper than these Skin Wolves. But, you know, we just wanted to check it out and see how Azag up on Skull Muncher would fare up against the Werekin. So we'll go ahead and kick off this testing. The Armored Skin Wolf and a regular Skin Wolf, each going to be facing up against an Orc Biggin, just to see how they fare. So let's go ahead and get going here. So you can see one of the issues the Werekin has is his low mass. So he will get punted around quite a bit, and even by somebody like Gorbel, he does have lower mass, so he'll get punted around quite a bit. But you can see in this fight, it's going to be actually fairly even here at the beginning. Over here, the Biggins did quite a bit of damage on the charge, but the unarmored Skin Wolf's getting put down very hard by the regular Biggins. So yeah, that's fairly decisive there. Over here, it's a little more even. You can see the armored Skin Wolves not taking quite as much damage. They're able to dish out quite a bit in return. So here, those Skin Wolves are already being routed off. They are down to 10 unit models, though, and this is one of the issues. They're going to be able to get away from the Orc Biggins and regenerate, and they'll potentially come back from routing. So, you know, in a real battle, you probably wouldn't, you know, your opponent may not detach forces to deal with them, or, you know, if these forces then pull around to help in the main infantry fight, then, you know, you'd be able to regenerate these guys and bring them back in the fight. And over here, this unit of Armored Skin Wolves doing quite a bit more damage, but still losing to the Orc Biggins, so that's fairly decisive. Here in the center, it's a fairly close fight. Previously, I think Azag would have probably lost this fight, but with the changes to the melee attack and the melee defense of the Werekin, as well as, you know, the cost increase means he'll have less support. But the changes to the attack and defense, I think we're able to let Azag win that fight. So, very interesting. We'll go ahead and fast forward through the rest of this. You'll see it ends up being very close, but Azag is able to pull that out just barely. And you know, I don't know that that's a super cost-effective trade for Azag because he is significantly more expensive. But you know, you don't have to necessarily fear a Werekin, although 2 Werekin would probably be an issue for sure. So let's go ahead and look at some more testing here. Okay, so this is one for the Beastmen, just seeing how Gorbel matches up against the Werekin. Previously, Gorbel would win this fight one-on-one. Sometimes, although it's hard to say if Gorbel was engaged with someone else and the Werekin got the charge on the Gorbel, pretty sure the Werekin would win, but let's go ahead and see how it plays out here. We are also going to have Throg up against Morgur just for a bit of fun. Throg will probably win that fight, but let's go ahead and see. And you can see where the Werekin actually gets punted by Gorbel, so definitely a big difference in mass there. But this is also another one I wanted to see. Minotaurs with great weapons are pretty close to the Maws of Savagery in terms of cost, so I wanted to see how they would trade. So we're going to get them in here as well. And at the beginning, the Werekin are taking quite a bit of damage. You can see already dropping 1 unit model. However, the regeneration is going to allow them to kind of pull back. And as more of the unit models get back in here, they're going to start doing quite a bit of damage to those Minotaurs. Over here, it's fairly close. Gorbel and Werekin are kind of punching each other. They actually both fell down there. That's pretty funny. And yeah, Throg versus Morgur. Throg will win that all day. So no question there. So yeah, over here, the Minotaurs with great weapons getting put down pretty hard by the Maws of Savagery. So, You know, with the cost increase, I think Minotaurs with great weapons now are 1400, so the Monster Savagery are more expensive, so you would expect them to win. But still, you know, in this matchup, it's fairly decisive. That regeneration came in clutch there. Over here, it's pretty close still. Gorbel is, we'll fast forward through this a little bit, as Gorbel, you know, takes a beating. However, he's just not able to kill the Werekin in time for the regeneration to stop, and you can see it actually ended up being pretty close. And with the increase in cost of the Werekin, these guys are really spot on with each other in terms of cost. So that performance is about what you would expect to see. The Gorbel is still slightly more expensive, but yeah, because of his high speed, he's able to catch the Werekin, and let's see if he comes back from routing. Nope. So very interesting. Definitely the as minor as it was to nerf the attack and defense of the Werekin each by 5, I think it was fairly decisive. So, and then we also did some testing for magic, but needless to say, Dwellers Below and Final Transmutation, which are the two spells that we tested, are both still very effective. So hope you guys enjoyed watching that bit of testing, and definitely some warranted changes. I think Norsca's still going to be very good. They're just some of their units just needed some minor tuning, so glad to see Creative Assembly getting on that. And hopefully I'll be able to bring you guys some more battles from the new patch. I will be uploading one battle today that was recorded before this patch came out. So yeah, that one will be yeah, it should go up around the same time as this one. So hope you guys are enjoying the content. If you are, like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.